Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and welcome to the Daily Compliance News for 2024. Today, we begin with our first episode of the new year, the January 3, 2024 edition, which is entitled the Ungovernable Edition. And we begin with that story from the Financial Times, which reports that the Big Four accounting firms are trying to rethink governance after years of missteps and scandals. The problem, of course, is the structure of these firms, which is partnerships, but as they move to global companies, they have limited governance oversight from the corporate or home office. And it's just led to a disaster of corporate governance with missteps, comments from CEO, just inane comments, illegal actions literally across the globe, and failure of regulatory standards. So is it tone at the top? Is it the structure? It's everything. We can only hope they'll get better. Next up from the Wall Street Journal, is political protest on your radar as a chief compliance officer? Well, perhaps it should be, as the 2024 election portends to be the one of the most raucous and contested in the United States, probably actually since 1860. Of course, the MAGA hat-wearing nutbags are already claiming that the election will be stolen, so there's that going on. And we have the threat of violence literally across the country, led by former President Donald Trump. We've got trials coming. We have secretaries of state who've now been threatened for making rulings under the U.S. Constitution. And what's going to happen when your employees begin to protest? What are you going to do as the compliance professional? So be sure to put that on your risk radar. Next up, the sad and sordid story of Bob Menendez continues as CNN reports he is charged with receiving gifts from Qatar in new allegations of the corruption schemes that he's been involved in. Qatar is no stranger to allegations of paying bribes, but here we have a sitting U.S. senator who is alleged to have received benefits, or even close family members who have alleged to have received benefits. So the Menendez saga continues. And finally, from the Washington Post, return to work. You might think this one is at its end, but apparently not, as employees are resisting employers' attempts to get them to return to the office to work, either full-time or more than they are doing now. Obviously, employees like the freedom and flexibility of working from home. They're generally more productive in working from home, and you don't have that third-grade mentality of being at your desk at 8 o'clock in the morning. Good luck, guys. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.